later in life, he could discuss it with all the what's going on when they did the second fall, when the wire collapsed, when they were doing the CBS thing. This is after they'd done the 7 people thing. The whole damn thing came down. He lost all his people. His wife said, "The hell with it. We gotta get away from this." So he went to school and he became a civics teacher at Sarasota High School. We're just practically at Sarasota High School, and I would go to some of the events that he had there. You know, they'd have all these different things, and he'd invite me because we were very good friends. And one time we're there, and I'm talking to the principal here, and he was here to be talking to somebody else. I knew he could hear me because my voice carried. So the principal says to me very naively, he says, "How well do you know Gunther?" And I said, "Oh, I know him real good. We used to sleep together for a year." And Gunther, naturally being a good guy, took it with me. You had no privacy. The only thing you had is a curtain that went across your berth. On the curtain is where you hung your clothes. When you came to, my father used to always come to join the show every year with boxes, because there was no storage on the train at all. Unless you happen to have a berth empty, you couldn't bring suitcases and no place to put them. You had a drawer on one side and a drawer on the other. One was for the upper berth, but when you had the lower berth, you had 2 people sharing the drawer, just pulled out from the bottom. Yeah, I'm trying to show you how lovely it was.
How old were you, Jack, in 1944?
And when you did come in at night, there's all the old-timers. Now I'm one of the old-timers. They'd all be sitting in the front, having a little beer and talking. You have to come through the door, okay, and go through this little place where you could use them. You'd have a hell of a time using the faucets at night because they're all sitting around there, and you'd have to run the gauntlet to get in. You couldn't, there was no privacy. In fact, one time we were all sitting out there, and just, you know, when you're on the show traveling like that in those days, after a while, those boxcars look like Motel 6. Yeah, they do. And of course, you always could, you had to watch it because you never knew what the hell was in the boxcar. And evidently this one guy came into our car, one of the new clowns or something, and when he came through, hello, how are you, good night, and then we went through the curtain, everybody's standing and looking at each other because he was all covered with flour. You're cooking flour? Well, I want you to tell you, the next day we found out very quickly what girl came back with the flour on.
No.
That was the fun things that we had. In the berths, we wanted the berths to make them as home as possible, only, you know, make it fun to be comfortable. So we used to go out and buy contact paper. You remember contact paper? And then we'd put it on, because the top was wood, the bottom from the top. We put that on, and when you think of Miss Full White Honey, she's the only one I had to get ruffled curtains on, and she just had it grand. But that's what we do, and then make it look kind of homey for it. And all of our clothing would have to hang on that rack, on the thing that held the, like that, the thing that, well, like that, but about that side, that held the curtain. And you had to be, even if you, no one, for some reason or other, we had a ladder to get upstairs, but I don't remember anybody ever losing a ladder. They just stepped on the first berth and went upstairs, because sometimes you stepped on somebody's hand or something doing it. It was a fun thing. 2 doors, oh, I'm doing it. We had no store. I said all that anyhow. Now, first thing I think that happened, and it's happened to all of you, did to me because I was on the show actually. My mother and father took me with Ringling Brothers in 1929. I was born in 27. She stayed home for a year with me. I was then later, why the hell did you stay home? She said, oh, she's a silly son of a bitch. I wanted to be there when you were born. So anyhow, when you had kids on the show, you know, 2 or 3 years, little kids, you had to put them in the berth with you. They didn't give you a special berth for your kid. Then the staterooms, there were a few staterooms, very few, only for the big things. So they put me in. I had to sleep with my mother and father, right in the same bed. And actually, it's kind of wonderful because I got very early sex education. I don't remember none of that. But you know as well as I do that you're so damn tired at night. And I'll explain what, when you get into the train, you could sleep through any. So the moving of the train, unless they hit or something, you slept right through it. And most of it, when you woke up in the morning, you didn't even know if the train had moved. Did you have that same experience? You didn't know. And then the first question would always say, we saw, where the hell are we? Where are we? Because we didn't care what town we were in. We moved every damn day. Unless somebody was going to come and visit you on that day, then you might say, oh, we're going to be in Philly or we're going to be in Paducah, Kentucky. Otherwise, it didn't make any damn difference at all because it was just another day. We didn't live in the town. All we did was come and got on the Gilly and anyhow. And we'd have to, naturally, have to get the bus. Sometimes we loved it when we could walk to the lot. Because in those days, even in those days, we were paying 25 cents a ride. Now that's a lot of money with inflation back in the 40s. We did. They didn't ride us for nothing. No, they really didn't. And by the way, talking about the train, no air conditioning, no heat whatsoever. And in the fall, and you could have been with the show in the fall, you work some of these towns into Tennessee, and it gets cold as hell. No, and of course, so we go to the trains and we go to the lot, and if we were lucky, we didn't go too early, the Donicas would be out. Otherwise, I don't think they were the first cars there. They wait for you. Remember how the Circus Donica was Ringling? It was just a small square tent, and there were 4 seats for those 4 boxes. And it was okay, except like my dad says, you had no privacy, and particularly if you got in there and you happen to have somebody you didn't particularly like. So it was not a comfortable situation. In the days before my days, they used to actually dig an outhouse, and then they'd cover it up before they left the town. Boy, I'm getting old. So naturally, we very few performers ever made the cookhouse in the morning. I think 8 to 9 or something like that. That would have been very difficult for performers. But we did have one guy, I don't think you remember the fellow named Louis Nagy. He made every morning cookhouse there was. And he would get there, but we never did. And when, of course, we get to the lot, and then by that time, the dressing top was always up. And of course, in those days, the women were on one side, and the men were on the other side, and in between, you had sidewall that was called a connection. Now, in there went wardrobe wagons and stuff like that. You would have had in the buildings today. And that's where they always paid us once a week. They came with a table and sat down. No taxes, really. I mean, they didn't seem to have the income taxes like they do now. That was kind of nice. And that's what you do. Now, the men's dressing room, we had racks. Out of metal. You screw it in, put it in the ground, and then there was a little piece of when you went between the handle on the trunk and that held it up. And that's where the mirror went to dress with. It's like Lou Jacobs, when he went to prom camp the first time, they set up the thing on stage. They wanted him to make up in front of everybody. And he came out, and there was a table and mirror, and he says, I can make up there. I was standing up, and it was just true, we always did, and it was quicker. So those were fine. The women didn't have that. The women didn't have that. And all they were really had to worry about is the little things that they might carry, because they didn't have, if you were a showgirl, even most of the acts, the show carried all the wardrobe. Ringling always did wardrobe the performance. If you had a big display, everybody was dressed alike. So the show itself was responsible for that. When you were done, you'd take it in and bring it in after the show. Now, and of course we had wash day, we had to have wash day, and then you always got 2 buckets of water, which were always put in front of your trunk, and you paid for that. That's another, ding joint. You'd pay 25 cents for that, and then you had that, and then also then you had to go in the morning and get outside. Everybody had a washboard or something you could borrow, and you'd wash in one, rinse in the other, and then put a clothesline between the guy lines. Now what's too bad on the men, but the poor women with all their lingerie and fancy bras and stuff, the darn big top, who big, and heavy, and all that grease, come through, they'd walk right through all that stuff and wipe all the things off. But that was show business. And of course,